Hello everybody, it's Claire back with another project for the Scrapfx design team. Today I'm working on a journal spread that goes over two sets of double pages. So I'm going to be putting gesso on both of those sets of pages. I'm starting off by using the Loopy script stamp and some black archival ink, and I'm just stamping out a couple of images which I'm then going to use as some collage on the background. So here we go with the gesso. So that's the first two pages gessoed, and then once that was dry, I then went in and gessoed two more pages. Just checking that the figures fit the page, and here we go with the other pages as well. And that cloth doesn't look very clean, but I can assure you it is. It's just got paint on it. So I'm just ripping off the excess paper because I just wanted the image really, rather than any extra. It's just stamped onto ordinary printer paper, and then just ripping it up and just positioning it on the pages, can't speak, and sticking it in with gel matte medium. This works great because the archival ink is permanent once it's dry, so it won't smudge and smear onto the page. So whatever I do on one set of pages, I'm going to do on the other two as well, because I want them to kind of work as a set of pages together. So then I'm using the inside numbers stamp from Scrapfx and just doing a bit of stamping onto the background as well, again with the black archival ink, doing the same on both sets of pages. And then I'm just using a bit of gesso on a blending tool, and I'm just blending the edges of the collage in a little bit, just so it's not too much of a big contrast. And then I'm using Rosy. This is a Dina Wakley metallic paint. It's a really pretty pinky colour. I'm just popping that on both sets of pages in 3 areas. I used a dry brush while I was applying the paint and just made sure that I'd got as much of the paint off as possible. And then after washing and drying my brush really well, I then used a sand and popped that on again, overlapping where the initial paint went, and then using the circular shawl stencil and a baby wipe, I'm just removing a bit of the paint through the stencil just to add some interest, more interest into the background. And I'm doing the same on both sets of pages. Now I'm using the cog stencil, and I'm using a Dina Wakley paint in the colour Umber. This is a colour that I don't often use, but it's actually quite a nice colour. So the pages are starting to have a little bit of a grungy feel about them now. I don't often do grungy pages. I'm more of a bright colour person, as you know. So then just a bit of text stamping. This is a Stampers Anonymous stamp. It's got like a loopy script type of text on it. And just popping that in a few places. Then I've just grabbed the Wordy People silhouettes from Scrapfx, and I'm just drawing around them where I want them to go, because I'm going to cut this out. So it's like a little window peeping through that's the same shape as the people that are going to be on the page behind. So using a cutting mat and a craft knife, very carefully cutting these out. So once they were cut out, I then drew through the outline again, just so that I knew exactly where to position the silhouettes on the back page, and then just adding a bit of white PVA glue into the space where it was going to be. I just stuck them down in place. So this PVA glue will dry clear eventually, so not to worry if there's bits of glue showing. So this is a transparency called Grungy Stars. This is by Scrapfx as well. I'm just cutting out a few of the stars, and I'm going to position them here and there on both sets of pages. going to stick them in place using PVA glue, but you could just as well use a gel matte medium or a thick gel medium. So then it was time to add in my quote. I did actually draw some lines on the page where my writing was going to go as a rough guide, and just checked before I started that the words would fit in. So I had an idea of how many words I needed to get on a line to make sure that it would all fit in place. I'm sorry if you can hear the dog barking in the background. I think somebody must have come to the door. Then I'm just using an ordinary black pen and I'm just drawing on some stars, just to kind of match up with what I'd stuck down, and then I'm just drawing some scribbly lines in to fill them in. I am going to do these on both pages. And then on the back of the cutout page, I just decided I was going to do some journaling. So I really just kind of wrote around in the spaces that were left. If you were to try and read it, it would be very difficult to follow because I've just wrote here and then I've wrote on the other side and then on the other side, so it doesn't really follow. But I was just kind of getting some thoughts down on the page and using that space on the back of the cutout as a great space to do some journaling. And then I'm just doing a bit of mark making using the Posca pen. I'm just doing some dots in white. And then some scribbly stars in a white gel pen as well. Then I'm using the white gel pen and I'm just adding some white shadow lines to the letters just to pop them out a little bit more. And here are the finished pages. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video.